This is Flipper coming to you today to talk to you about another topic of discussion. I just had another video prior to this, so if you're continuing the video, you're going to see me discuss what's going on the planet right now, 2015. We're having a pole shift. Yes, people. Do you feel the shake? Oh, yes. I know I'm so silly. I'm so corny, right? We're in the middle of what's that? Oh, I always hear the creepiest sounds when I make videos. Oh, that's my chimes. We're in the middle of a pole shift. And remember, I think I had this discussion with you previously, that the pole shift is not just about the shifting of physical planet. It actually has to do with a shift of your consciousness, a flip mode of your consciousness. And what we're experiencing now is, remember, we're leaving the age. Now, if you're into astrology, you'll know that we're actually coming out of the age of Pisces and we're going into the age of Aquarius. And if you know anything about a little bit about astrology, you'll know that the Piscean age was more about beliefs. And during a time of belief system, you can always be MK Ultra, because belief is not something tangible or real. It's whatever is promoted or put out or, most popular a lot of times. So we're coming out of that stage, and what you're starting to see a lot of, especially in the awake-aware community, is a lot of outing of people who were stating they were one way and really living another alternative lifestyle, very different than what they were purposefully putting out to the public. And many of us have been under that too. I mean, there's plenty of times that I've wanted to be a certain way and I kind of promoted myself a certain way, but really I really wasn't quite there yet. And you have to be very careful if you start going out publicly stating that you want or being this person or promoting things that you really have no belief in, or you're proposing something based on, financial gain or, what have you. But we're starting to see a lot of everything come out. And in our awake aware community, you start to see that with, let's talk about just Cosby, Bill Cosby being outed. Now, when it first happens, me and my girlfriends were kind of like, when we're hearing that he's drugging people to have sex with them. I mean, I'm from New York. It didn't seem odd to me. It kind of seemed like he could be a creeper. I mean, he's in that world, and we know that with the dark cabal, if he's up, illuminated that high up on television, we know there's got to be a contract somewhere. I mean, that's the previous regime, remember, of narcissism, materialism, just sick kind of, dispositions sexually and mentally. So when they came out saying that he was a creeper, I mean, it sucks. Yeah, he was the dad of the, the Cosby kids. He had the Cosby, he had Fat Albert. I mean, I get it. But we put these people on pedestals, and we really shouldn't, because we don't know who they are personally. We're just seeing what's promoted to us via television. That's not necessarily the real person. And part of his, his dirty laundry, disgusting, dirty, just funky, freaky laundry was put out in public. And it was interesting to see how people had such strong emotions regarding this. Listen, people of color, just because he's a man of color does not mean he's you. If you're not living that life and you don't know people who live that life necessarily, and you know people on a personal basis, don't equate it to us. He's not a representative of us. He's societal's placed representative of you, if you allow it. When it came out, me and my girlfriend was like, yeah, they probably all do it. You know what I mean? It wasn't that odd, but that is an example of someone living a certain way and proposing or, kind of, PRing themselves in a totally different way. So that's an example. Everything. Now, remember, we had this discussion months ago in my video. I told you this was the year of the great reveal. If you were doing dirt on the underside, you best believe it's going to be brought out about now. This is not the system. We are in the age of Aquarius. It is, I know. This is the time of knowledge. This is when everything comes out. Closeted. That's why you're starting to see, like, what's his name, Jenner, come out, and he's a woman now. I mean, everything that you thought was and that wasn't is coming out. Who do you have? Umar Johnson. What is it? Umar? Yeah, Umar Johnson, who was, he was trying to build a school in affiliate which a charter school for children of color, so that they can learn and be learn positive things about themselves. Also get a curriculum that was based on self-love, that good values that would ensure that they had a better future in a world that may not be as conducive for them. It's a wonderful positive reason for him to for something for him to do, and I think it's wonderful. But then it comes out, he was telling some of the people that he didn't want the mandatory that girls would not be able to go to school if they had a perm or weave in their hair. Which is fine. I mean, you can't really, we have young people like to express themselves, but I get it though, because that perm and that weave represents a form of self-hatred if it's done to a level of, there's different levels of doing that. But yes, I get that, because obviously we're seeing society where a lot of black women are not okay with their hair. And we came from a society where we had beautiful black women like, what's her name? Pam Grier, with an afro, sexy, all chocolate up and bronzed up, and dudes loved her, white, black, and beyond. So we did get to a system where there were black women really showing a appreciated value in themselves by engaging in physical morphing of their physical to mimic another entity. It was, it's showing up. And I get that he wanted to have his school have girls grow up loving themselves and also seeing little black boys like women in their natural, brown women in their natural form. I get all that. But the problem is, Umar was having sex with a stripper who had a blonde weave on, and she blew his spot, and he was treating her less than a queen. The things that he's denoting that he wants his staff and students to treat women well, when he's doing something opposite of that. And I came out, text and so on, and they went on the woman, and his response to her was calling her some sort of maggot or something rather. I don't want to quote that, but it was less than appropriate. Even if he's busted doing something, if that's your true demeanor, that wouldn't be your true response. So, his stuff has been blown out. And I always want to say to myself and people, everybody makes mistakes and so on, but I have a problem with a man who does not own up to it. I make mistakes all the time. I make mistakes on the video all the time, right? So, I mean, when a man can't fess up, or a person can't fess up to their wrongs, I'd be concerned of how much right is in their system or whatever they're promoting to you. So he's been blown out of proportion. 50 Cent is going bankrupt because his money is not right, but everybody sees him as this wealthy man. And then these are just examples of things coming out about people, and you're seeing a lot of just anything that someone was denoting as, like Donald Trump. Donald Trump coming out of his mouth saying things about Latinos and illegal immigrants, but then he wants to run for president. I mean, it's like bones flying out of everybody's mouth and closet, just being tossed. And I'm noticing that out in the media, but I am seeing it all in my matrix and in the world around, in a personal level, that even in my world, coming out. Anything that you denote and you've been promoting and it is not true, it's coming out. This is the great reveal, people. So get yourself together. You're going to have to start to cleanse yourself a little bit of those entities that are unhealthy for you. Or, if you're like Bone Thugs and Harmony and kicking it like that, and that's who you hang with, then that's who you are. But if you're, queen of consciousness and you're healthy and you're eating things healthy, I've had to, rectify that in my life where, I'm living a certain way, I'm eating, my nutrition's good. And, because I come from New York, I've parlayed with everyone. And at this particular time, even if you're cleansing yourself on an internal basis, you got to cleanse yourself on an external basis. And even though you were comfortable with an element that wasn't positive, doesn't mean it's right for you to still engage with non-positivity on the outside. Whatever's reflected on the inside should also reflect on the outside. And if you're in balance, it's going to show up. I can't be hanging, and I just said this on a post on my Facebook. I was like, here I'm eating a certain way, and then, I like to dance. I love salsa. I'm a dancer. I love Caribbean dance. I do carnival and that's my thing. I'm a Mother Earth. I'm truly a flower girl. I just want to dance, eat mangoes, and do all that wonderful stuff. But, you know, if I had a homegirl who liked to dance with me and I'm hanging out with her and we go in and have something to eat, if I'm eating a salad and I'm eating a conscious meal or stuff that I like, and she's eating a dead piece of flesh, you know, a big, huge steak that I consider to be murdered, and she's eating it unconsciously in front of me, and, you know, or she's engaging in drugs and drug behavior, alcoholism to the extreme, you know, why would I be okay to sit with that person if I'm living a certain way? That's really an imbalance there. And I've had to learn that if I'm living this world and I'm talking this talk and I'm walking this walk, I have to watch, you know, my cipher and the people I keep around me, because whatever's going on in their world is going to come to you. And that's another thing that we're going to discuss, is that right now, if you are living a certain way that is not cohesive to the higher frequencies of the planet, you're going to get a ricochet. Meaning, if you are a if you're a crappy person and you're doing mean things, like I'm seeing chicks that are, you know, home wreckers that are, you know, I know a girl who went and was working with a man at a job, and she, you know, she was soliciting the husband and having sex with the husband. The husband just had a new baby and a wife at home, and the wife meets her and she slept with him, took him, and then made sure she got pregnant while they were married so she can have that man, and trickery. And, you know, I always say to anyone, do unto others, well, biblical statement, do unto others you have them do unto you. That young girl's gonna get ricochet in worse ways than ever. When you violate someone's marriage and their vows, and then you take away a father from his household, from children, then you must be able to take onus of what you've created, and you must eat the same dish of poison that you served someone else. And what she's seeing right now is that that man is, you know, teeter-tottering on that, and he's soliciting, he wants to get back with his wife. Which, what did she think? You know what I mean? And the child is also, the child conceived out of, you know, disdain for that couple, you know, out of a baby conceived from another woman's husband, is also suffering from some sort of genetic disorder. And that's an extreme basis, but he's going to have some issues with dwarfism, and that's extreme. But what happens when you do harm to another family, another people, is this is going to come back to you. And it's coming back to people harder now. So best believe you got to watch what's going on with your world. Start cleansing yourself, start cleaning out your cipher. We talked about parasites. My fast is coming up in August. I know I'm late with my summer fast. I'll talk about that in another video, but start clearing out that. Also, the spike in homosexuality in males is not only what you think. Remember I talked about it's almost like a eugenics thing going on. So they're also feminizing males with the plastics, the BPAs, which is a synthetic form of estrogen. You've got soy lecithin and everything, which soy is a feminizer. It's another form of estrogen intake. And then you've got foods that have estrogen and all these nutricides that are messing with the disposition of children in general, but mostly males. And you're seeing a spike of homosexuality, or just imbalanced disposition of males. But that is also coming from a wave of feminine divinity, feminine energy coming in, feminine consciousness coming back in to push over the regime of patriarchal, because patriarchal system is going out of home court advantage along with white supremacy. So it's pushing it out, and how it's showing up also is the femininity of males. It's making sure that we won't have domineering males either, to create the kind of havoc and disgustingness that we've had for the last couple of 100 years with the male being under the male controlling system. So some of this is obviously chemicalized, because you have the dark cabal who knows this is coming in. So they do their own thing with the feminine. They wanted the feminine consciousness to go the way they want it to go. But the feminine wave of consciousness would have came in, and it wouldn't have necessarily had this such strong, you know, seeing boys at 8 and 9 twerking it with other little boys. Or, you know, we saw a video, which was very sad, of a young man giving fellatio to a whole bunch of other young men, and you've never been able, and it was taken, a camera was taken by a young lady, and it was the line of boys waiting for that one male to do that to them. You've never seen that in society. Or you're seeing males walking around with high heels and purses. Now that was done at the end of times in every society is a sign that the society is about to be diminished or to be destroyed. So these are also cues that our society's gone too far. Because what if they say a spike in homosexuality is the first step of a depreciation of a society, then it goes on to pedophilia. Now, they're not both equated. I'm just saying how it starts to go down the tiers. So whenever society is getting dysfunctional, you'll see it first when there's a spike in homosexuality. Secondly, you'll see a spike in pedophilia, which we're seeing rampantly all over. It was always here, but it's rampant. And then you'll start to see bestiality show up, and that's another dysfunctionality. And then necrophilia, which is the other form, all going down the line of just disgusting, depreciative behavior. Now, homosexual behavior is not, I don't want to equate it to that. Obviously, anything against nature is not natural. Okay, so that's just what it is. It's not something on a personal basis you could say, well, I have a gay family member, so on. Listen, I think you should treat everyone well. Love is so much better than hate. And I am an advocate for love in all different ways, but we need to talk about it what it is. The Kabbalah created that system of homosexuality. Some of it is created, and it is also a form of birth control for a society so that we won't get as many spikes of starseeds coming in. They want to prevent a lot of the starseeds from coming in as well. So now we're starting to see that. Just be mindful. Oh, the Confederate flag. Now, I'm a New Yorker originally. I'm an island girl from island people, right? French island people. But I lived in New York and I moved to Florida. Love it. It's beautiful, tropical. It's like my indigenous home. But obviously in the South, you had the Confederate flag, which was still being flown around. And obviously, Confederate flag has a lot of blood stain on it. No difference than the American flag and how many people died under the American flag, including the Native Americans and the Seminoles and the black people, and white people. So, all flags have blood and dirt on it. But the Confederate flag being flown is, that coming down right now is a sign of the out of court, that is showing that we're out of home court advantage for a particular people. That's another sign that it's happening. They're taking the flags down. People are fighting over the flags, and it's unnecessary. I always tell people who are in support of the Confederate flag, because they say it means Southern pride and so on. I was like, okay, I get your disposition, but how would you think it would make someone feel who was a Jewish person who saw a swastika on every house around? And they were like, why would you say that? Because it's the same equation. I mean, the Confederacy has to do with particular people who really were okay with slavery and the disdain of black people. They didn't want any freedom for those people of color. And you have the swastika, which, listen, both of the swastika was a beautiful Native American symbol previous to it being disgustingly utilized to do, to create hell for another group of people. But as the last time that the swastika was used, it's used for that. And any hate group, considered like a Nazi or someone, they use that swastika to show that they don't like Jewish people or, what they consider to be Jewish people or anybody else. So, I wouldn't fly a swastika on my house to disrespect people because I wouldn't want to offend anyone because I know what that means to a certain group of people. And me hanging that means I'm okay with that consciousness of what that flag means. So if you're hanging a Confederate flag and you know that what that means to people of color and that does not bother you and you still want to hang it up, I have a problem with you. I'm not hanging anything that was created to hurt or harm another group of people. It's just not going to happen. Nothing. Listen, I'm all peaceful and love. I want everyone to get along. I want us to all sit down and be able to do that. But we can't do it if you can disregard another group of people. And listen, it's a symbol, and I get it. But anything that's good for me, if it is harmful to another, is wrong. It should not be good for me if it's harmful to another, if it's caused bloodshed to another. So don't, please, we got to get back to zero, to a more homeostasis type of environment, okay? I mean, if we want to get to peace and love, you're going to have to acknowledge certain things that are unhealthy and unnatural. And I'm going to have to acknowledge things that are unhealthy and unnatural within my community. And my community is really broad because I come from a lot of different people. and you know, internationally too. So some of my disposition is coming from a foreign state of consciousness because I come from foreign people. Okay, so a lot of people to know like, oh, you're so different and so on as a black girl. No, it's not that. It's you don't know many black people. You don't know foreign black people. There's many different copper people from all over the world, and we come from, you know, there's a lot of women that look like me who live in Egypt, who live in France, who live in the Netherlands, who live in South Africa, who live in the Congo, who live in North Carolina, who live in India. If you've not come across that and you didn't know that, you need to educate yourself, because a lot of times people speak about my diction and so on and like that, and it has to do with their lack of exposure, you know, because I know that you've been MK Ultra watching Fox and CNN thinking that all Negroes look and talk alike, and that's not true. We all come from many different places and many different backgrounds, and not all of us have been raised in the hood, but even if they have, you can't assume that everybody from the hood is negative or low vibrational, okay? Just like I can't consider all white people to be prejudiced and evil. All right. So we gotta be a little balanced here. So anyway, this is the Grand Awakening, everybody. And we'll get into another video on the blood moons and the quadrant of blood moons and what it means September, when the last of the blood moons comes. Usually it means it's a shift with the actual Hebrew people, the original Jews. And the original Jews are not what's residing in Israel. Those are Zionists, and those are converts. The original Jews were the ones residing all over the planet, different tribes. Anyway, we'll get back to that. Be nice, have your discussion, and this is about the shift. So we will have another discussion about other things, and hopefully I'll get another video and based on whatever you guys discuss that you want to kind of get into. Okay, so peace and love you, keep it sweet, keep it nice. Fleur.